Hello everyone. Welcome to our webinar series, What is Office 365 and Why You Should Consider It. My name is Scott Jorgens, Senior Marketing Manager at Endeavour Solutions, and with me on the line is Endeavour Hussain, our lead Office 365 consultant in Toronto. Agenda today for Office 365 is let's take your business to the cloud. We'll provide some quick introductions, and specifically we're going to talk about what is Office 365 and make a specific effort to cut through the hype and propaganda. There's a ton of information online. There's some misconceptions and a number of organizations that are promoting Office 365. You can buy consumer versions, you can buy small business versions, you can buy business versions, you can buy enterprise versions. We're going to focus on the enterprise version. It really is the best fit for organizations that have anywhere over 25 users. And we're going to focus on how you improve employee productivity, foster team collaboration, improve the IT safety and security of your applications and your files, and talk about the financial benefits. Then we'll move over, have a live demo by Wada, and we'll wrap up with closing remarks and be sure to have some online live question and answers. So about Endeavour Solutions. We've been around in business for the last 25 years, working with Microsoft Dynamics, GP, and CRM. We have over 400 clients now across Canada and in parts of the U.S., offices in Toronto and Halifax, and growing offices in Edmonton, London, and Montreal. 3 lines of business: advisory services and providing management consulting, implementation and upgrades of Microsoft Dynamics GP and CRM, as well as integration of third-party tools for each of those systems, including Office 365 and Azure, and ongoing optimization and support through our help desk. Feel free to visit our team online. You can find them in the About Us section on our website, as well as follow us on LinkedIn. Specifically and exclusively for Office 365, we've created a website called Endeavour365.ca, and on this website you can find additional information on Office 365, plans, pricing, our approach to migration and whole migration methodology. We can also start you with a trial with your users for 90 days. So, Office 365. What you may have today, you probably think of your classic Microsoft Office. I believe it started with Windows 3.1, maybe Windows 95. I personally started using Office in Windows 95 with Office 95, and that's with your Excel, PowerPoint, Word, and Outlook, and even Microsoft Access. With Office, it's also being supported by Microsoft Exchange, your Exchange server for emails, a variety of firewalls, antivirus, anti-spam that have matured and evolved over the last few decades. You may be extending that out to mobile users to allow them to get email and calendar remotely, and potentially even some of their files and applications remotely. There's network files and network drives that we use day to day. At Endeavour, we have our P drive for personal files, S drive for our sales and marketing team, and a variety of other network drives for file storage, predominantly of Microsoft Office applications. Underlying each of these are the hardware and infrastructure. Pulling all these together are really, capital expenditures. You do have a variety of support services, network support costs, systems administration. Pulling these together, we typically find for 50 users, if you're going to have all the bells and whistles, not cut any corners, have proper disaster recovery, redundancy, security, you're looking at a spend of about $200,000 over a 5-year period, or spending about $3,500 per month to cover this 50-user organization. Interesting enough, I was talking to Terry Sunderland, our president, the other day, and he said he was at a conference, and they did a poll and asked all the people, what do you think is the most expensive Microsoft application to support globally? And everyone put up their hands, and some yelled out different ERP systems, CRM, other applications. And what it came out to was Microsoft Exchange is the most expensive application to support. And you think of all the exchanges out there, the hardware related to them, the licensing that's required, the IT support costs, and the evolving threats and risks to keep everything under control, keep out the spam, keep out the malware. There's risks in running an IT organization, and specifically related to the documents that we come reliant on day in and day out, our Word documents, our Excel sheets, our PowerPoints, and our email. Risks of downtime, risks of productivity and cost organization. If they can't get emails, they can't answer customer questions. Risk and exposures to lost hard drives for privacy and protection, USB keys. And I was reading an article recently, growing risks of personal devices and personal cloud software. The advent, bringing your own personal iPhone and sending files to your home Gmail account or into a Dropbox or Google Drive and synchronizing them to your home office and telling your kids can have access to your office files to your personal folders. The main thing that Microsoft has come up with and that Endeavour supports is let's move all of this into a proper managed enterprise service. Put it as a subscription on a low cost per user per month and make it all available up in the cloud. Getting rid of those capital expenditures, reducing much of the IT support costs, and reducing many of the risks by moving it into the cloud and having a proper enterprise instance of Office 365. So when we think of Office 365 in the cloud, and one of the myths and confusions that we've seen from others we've talked about is they think that Office 365 is only in the browser, only in the cloud. In reality, the enterprise licensing includes full desktop applications. These are full applications for your Microsoft Office 2016, as well as the productivity tools that we'll be talking about. It also includes full mobile applications. And these are apps that sit on your devices and have really strong functions. And yes, you do also get the web access. With these licenses, each named user actually gets 5 desktop licenses. So that could be a PC plus a Mac plus a laptop, and that still leaves 3 more for a home office or remote office, and you get the mobile applications. With Office 365 and the support services that come in the cloud, there's the anywhere, anytime access, a variety of management tools and enterprise security tools, making it easier for your IT team to support your employees. And talking about security. Security is always top of mind. It's now being handled by Microsoft Canada. The top-of-the-line antivirus, top-grade anti-spam and anti-malware. It's in their data centers with armed guards and fire suppression and disaster recovery and redundancy and co-location and all of those great components. You get technical support, both from Endeavour as well as from Microsoft. There's some strong chat and video conferencing tools, which is great for collaboration, called Skype for Business. File sharing runs your employees through OneDrive for Business and SharePoint Online. And of course, this very expensive, most expensive tool to support, Microsoft Exchange Online, and that business class email up in the cloud in Office 365. So what? So why should you care? Well, you should care because we really feel there's 4 key levers. Employee productivity and improving employee productivity, reducing that downtime, reducing those lost files, and helping people get access to their email, their Word, their PowerPoint, their Excel, anywhere, anytime, on any device. Helping them collaborate with their peers through instant messaging, through video chat, through co-authoring documents. Making it easy and providing the safety and security for encouraging employees to not use personal network storage and other shared file sharing. Bringing everything into the enterprise and gaining control. Having a user lose their cell phone and your IT staff or even receptionists can instantly clean, wipe, and fix that phone. Ultimately, a variety of financial benefits. I'm going to go each one of these four fairly quickly, and then we'll move over to WADA to provide a quick demonstrations. So employee productivity. Again, this works on any device, anywhere. There's a variety of applications that you can download for your Android cell phones and tablets, as well as your Apple cell phones and tablets. These are free to download, so you do need the Office 365 license to be able to edit and save. You also need the Office 365 license to take advantage of your OneDrive for Business. And this is 1 terabyte of storage per user, and put all your files up into the cloud. They synchronize with your laptop or your PC or your Mac. And with that, here's a copy of my own files. So all my files used to be on my P drive and connected to our network store. We had some of my documents. Moved them now all into OneDrive for Business. Any changes I make on my laptop will be synchronized through the internet up to the cloud, and I can access those same folders and files online from my home office, or if I'm off-site at a client location. Wada will go into that further as part of his demonstration. Team collaboration. So sharing files is one thing, but also being able to edit them, talk to your colleagues. Microsoft's putting a lot of push on the video chat, and they've done a really great job with Skype for Business and video chat internally within employees. What we've used predominantly is the online chat function. I personally love Skype for Business and its ability to see all of our staff and employees who are online, and it synchronizes with their calendars. So if someone has a meeting, they'll automatically change their Skype status to say they're in a meeting. I can choose if I want to quickly ping them or not. And for example here, this is a screenshot from yesterday. Hey Wada, are we on track to meet at 3 p.m.? Yes, I am. This is a quick, simple, non-intrusive way to ask questions and keep people connected. Especially for Endeavour, we have staff in Halifax, staff in London, in Montreal, and in Alberta, and very easy to keep in touch with them and collaborate together. We've all uploaded our photos into Skype for Business, and it's actually synchronizing with our Active Directory. It also provides that personalized aspects. With the Skype for Business, you can attach files, we can use emoticons, send text back and forth. We can also turn on the webcams and chat, make phone calls with it, and the screen sharing has been very, very handy. So the third one there is sharing the screen and instantly having meetings amongst the staff. Talking about working together, Office 2016 as well as the web applications within Office 365 allow you to co-author documents at the same time when they're stored in OneDrive for Business. And you can see people editing documents at the same time, and are finding that it's become really handy, and we're going to be using it more and more. So safety and security. I don't want to go too deep on safety and security, but suffice it to say there's a huge variety of administration tools that make it very easy for your IT staff to manage it. Many of the tools are actually easy enough to have an office administrator manage people's profiles, adding them in or removing them, onboarding new employees, managing mobile applications, and something that is important to everyone is to make sure that they have all the proper licensing and tracking compliance, and that they're not overbuying or underbuying for individuals. Financial benefits. So financial benefits, you can look at the financial benefit as a glass half full or glass half empty. If we think of a glass half full approach, it's providing our employees with all the greatest of productivity tools, helping them collaborate, and ultimately providing the safety and security for our files. With that, if you were to compare Office 365, which is a subscription cost per user, to the upfront cost and buying those same tools, providing that enterprise-grade security, redundancy, you're really looking at, for 50 users, as I mentioned earlier, about a $200,000 cost over a 5-year period, or $3,500 per month. If we have 100 users, those costs go up, a few extra servers, extra licensing, obviously taking better advantage of your support costs and the hardware. If we contrast that to Office 365, if you see on the bottom, looking at the same 50 users, $25 per user per month is the main go-to package for Office 365 Enterprise. And if you look at your 50 users, that's $15,000 per year, some upfront migrations, average monthly costs of $1,500. So rather than the $3,600, $3,800, you're down to $1,500 per month on a total cost of ownership. That's saving over $100,000 over a 5-year period, or $2,000 per month. If we think of the glass half empty approach, the financial benefits, if you're running on a shoestring budget, you're not up to date with the latest in security, you don't have all the redundancy, you don't have those productivity tools, the financial costs are probably a wash. And then with Office 365, you're gaining the added benefit of the employee productivity, of the team collaboration, of the reduced effort for monitoring and administration, for ensuring the safety and security, and probably better safety and security than you could provide given the power and strength of the Microsoft data centers. So with that in mind, let me turn it over to Wada, who is going to share more about what Office 365 looks like online versus the desktop, and OneDrive for Business and the file storage and file sharing, and how that compares and contrasts. Wada, over to you.
Thank you, Scott. Thanks, everybody, for joining us today. So what I want to do is just take a quick look at the different features that OneDrive for Business has and how it can benefit you and users in your organization. So we're going to go over the different features of OneDrive. Then we move over to some sharing and how sharing works within the organization, whether internal or external. So we're going to go ahead and actually browse the cloud version. I'm going to show you how it looks on the web. And then we're going to come back and see how it looks on the desktop. So I'm going to actually go ahead and Google Office login. That's usually the easiest way to find it. So we're going to go sign in. Actually, we have a fictitious user named Katie that we're using for this demo. So I'm going to go ahead and log in with her credentials.
So with this, Katie can basically be anywhere, type in her email address and password, and she gains access.
So as you can see, we're presenting the dashboard here, or Katie's presented in this case with a dashboard. So this dashboard really gives you a quick overview of the shortcuts to the applications that you have access to, or the user has access to, as well as a list of the last 5 or 6 documents that were recently worked on, just to save time from going through folders and looking for the specific file that you recently worked on. And last but not least, a link to install the desktop Office on all your different devices from down at the bottom of the screen here. So as you can see, it's supported on Windows Phone, Android, iOS for iPhone and iPad, Android tablets, of course, and PC and Mac. So just going back to what Scott touched on with the 5 licenses, you can actually install your desktop software on 5 different machines. So it could be your work laptop, your work desktop, as well as your home PC, and you'll still have 2 extra licenses to play with. All right, so going back to OneDrive for Business, we're going to scroll back up here. We're actually going to go ahead and browse our OneDrive. So once we click that, we'll be presented with a listing of all the files that we have stored in our our cloud storage. So as you can see here, we got our familiar look. So if you ever use Dropbox or Google Drive, you'll be very familiar with this interface where everything is saved in the cloud, and I will show you how it integrates locally to your desktop. So with every file, you actually get, of course, the file name. The last time it was modified, the person who modified it, size, and who it's being shared with. And we'll come back to this shared column later on in the presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and actually open a file here. So if I go ahead and click, I'm going to play with the Japan revenue Excel spreadsheet. Once I click that, what you see here is actually Excel on the web. So this is the web version of Excel that runs in the browser. That's not running on the desktop, that's purely in the browser. So this application is really accessible from anywhere in the world, whether you're at an airport or a coffee shop, if you're handing out a Starbucks and borrowing the PC, for example, you can always log in and use those applications. So I'm going to go ahead and actually do a quick editing of this file. And once you go into the edit mode, you actually, as you can see, you have a pretty functional Excel application. So everything is running in the cloud, there's nothing installed. Now the cool thing is, this file here is synced to my OneDrive on the desktop. So if we go back to our Windows Explorer, and I'm going to browse to OneDrive for Business like Scott mentioned earlier, these are all the listings of the file. And if we go, and I'm just going to pull up the listing here and go back to my Windows Explorer locally on the desktop. As you can see, it's an exact replica of the file, both in the cloud and locally. So any changes I made in the cloud through the web browser will be reflected locally on my desktop.
And vice versa. So if you're working on a file on your desktop and you don't have internet connection or the internet goes down, your files are still safe on your desktop. And when the internet connection comes up, it will then synchronize and move it back up to the cloud.
So what I'd like to do is just go through a quick scenario of where Katie works on a file locally on her desktop on a Friday afternoon. Then she goes away for the weekend, remembers that she has to modify something, and come back on Monday and see those modifications synced. So I'm going to start over here. I'm just going to close these windows. Excel on the desktop. So as you can see here, the cool thing about the integration with Office 2016 is that it keeps track of all the files that you worked on recently, today, yesterday, and last week. So you really don't have to go and look through folders and file names to find what you worked on recently. So I'm going to go back to that Japan file again. I'm going to go ahead and open it. And here we are. So I'm going to make some changes here. So I'm going to formula here, a very simple formula. So sum and add these two columns here. And there's the number. So say this is Friday afternoon, we're done, we're ready to go off on the weekend. I'm going to save it and close the file. So Katie leaves her laptop at home, goes to the cottage, to her friend's cottage on a Saturday afternoon. Then she remembers that that formula was wrong or was in the wrong place. And she doesn't have access to her work computer. Actually, all she has to do is borrow a computer with a browser and an internet connection. So we're going to assume that this is her friend's PC. I'm going to actually go back to Google Chrome this time and assume that's the board laptop. So I'm going to go back in and Google Office login again. I'm going to log back in.
And then Katie types in her email address, types in her password, and she has instant access to all of her corporate Office 365 applications and all of her files.
So because she worked on that file, on the last file she worked on that week or the last time she logged in, that file is still listed on top. So you can go ahead and click on it and pull it up through the Excel browser application. And there is a change that she did on the desktop. So she's going to go ahead and actually edit the spreadsheet and add another formula under it. So I'm going to go and we'll add these two here.
You can see from the navigation in the top ribbons, most of the functionality is the same in all the same spots as you would find in Excel on the desktop. So it is quite handy.
Now the cool thing about this, what you'll notice in the browser application, that there's no save button. So don't go looking for the save button because there isn't any. It's actually, it saves live as you do the changes. So once you do the change and you're done, you just close that file. So we're going to go ahead and close it, and then she's done for the change that she had to do. She's going to go sign out from her friend's laptop, and now it's all done. Now she's going to close that. And going back to the office on Monday morning, she's actually going to pull up that spreadsheet again because she has to do a little bit more work on it. So pulling it up on the desktop, and she clicks it. And she gets a notification saying that there's a newer version of this file. We're going to go reopen document. Yes. And there is the changes. So these are the changes synced back from the Excel on the web back in our desktop application. So that's just a quick look on the synchronization between your web applications and your desktop applications. Now, there's a myth that Office 365 requires internet access to work. And of course, within this demo, we are connected to the internet. However, if your files are synced within Windows Explorer, like I just showed you here, within this folder, if these are synced and they're available on your desktop, doesn't matter if you have internet or not. Some of you reconnect, all the synchronizations will be processed without you even noticing, really. It's almost instantaneous. So even if you're offline on an airplane and you have Office 2016 installed and your OneDrive is synced, you can still work on the documents just like you would at the office, regardless if you have internet connection or not. And of course, you won't have access to the browser apps because that will require browser login. Now, so I just want to move over to the sharing and just give you a quick look at the sharing. I'm going to go back and pull that portal up again. So I'm going to get logged back into Katie's account. So I'm going to go browse over to OneDrive one more time. So we're going to stick with the Japan file that we've been working with. So say Katie actually wants to share this file with one of her colleagues. So it's just a matter of clicking on the file and clicking on the listing of files, of users that are shared. So if you just see this list here, these are actually all the people that can view this file. Now the cool thing is they can view it, but they cannot edit it because she hasn't explicitly given them access to edit it. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to add somebody. I'm going to invite someone to edit this file. And I'm just going to click on share. And of course, you always want to make sure that it requires sign-in, so it's not an anonymous login. And I'm going to give her edit access because you can always give view access only. I'm going to give her edit access. I'm going to share it. Now that email went off to that user's inbox to tell them that Katie has shared this file with them. And there is a notification for the email that went out. Now I'd like to show you how you can change it. So the cool thing about this is it's very fluid. So if you give somebody access to edit or view a file, you can always go back and change it later. So for example, if we pick the user Ann Wallace here, as you can see, she only has access to view it. So I'm just going to go allow edit, and instantly now she's allowed to edit the file. And last but not least, just to give you a quick overview of how I can revoke. So if somebody changed positions, or they left the company, or they don't need access to a certain confidential file, for example, which is that you can just go to their name and say stop sharing. And it's really that simple to pull files from other people. So that way your file it's protected, it's not floating in somebody's mailbox, there are no copies being made. So that's just an overview of sharing. And last but not least, I want to go over the version history with you. So the cool thing about OneDrive for Business has a built-in ability to keep versions. So I'm sure we're all experienced with the different versions of files floating back and forth through email. You start with a version 0.1, then you end up at version 7 or 8.5, and you have no idea where these changes went or what version they were attached to. So what Microsoft did, actually, they attach versioning to every file. So every time you create a file, create a change, it actually saves as a version number that you can actually roll back to at any point in time. So if we take that Japan file and we just select it and highlight it and click on version history, and I'll be presented with all the changes that were made. So these are all the changes that were made to this file since the beginning from a few days ago. As you can see, it's by time until the changes we made just now. So I can actually go back to any version and click restore or view the change, or delete that version completely if there are changes that you don't want to be reverted to. So that's our versioning. And actually, I just want to give Chad a chance to share with you how OneDrive for Business actually helped us out in Endeavour. So Chad Smith is our lead cloud consultant over at the Halifax office. And he's been involved very heavily with Office 365, just like I am. And we've been using OneDrive for Business back and forth between the Mississauga office and the Halifax office very heavily. So I'd like him to to just jump in and give us an idea of how we use it heavily within Endeavour Solutions. Chad?
Yeah, thanks. Hope everybody can hear me okay. So yeah, we actually use OneDrive for Business for a lot of stuff. So as most of our customers probably know, where we have multiple locations and multiple offices, a lot of times we have consultants and people from different offices working on the same projects. And there's always documents to share back and forth. So one of the very easy things and the cool things now that we're using, we can take, for example, a spreadsheet and we had that shared with multiple people. One of the really cool things that we can do now, we can have multiple people in there editing the same document at the same time, which becomes extremely powerful for us. As well, when we share files back and forth now, we're not sending actual files. We're sending links to the documents themselves. And while I'm talking here, can you show how the link would come out in an email? Because we can actually email the links back and forth now for these files. So one file that we have to send every week internally here at Endeavour is our planning file. We actually plan for the weeks ahead of time so that we know what we're doing and stuff like that. And we all send those into a central location. Before, so you guys can imagine, we'd have people emailing in this huge Excel spreadsheet to one or two or four different people. So there's hundreds of these files going all over the place. Now what we're doing is, because we have OneDrive, the moment that I open up my email and I go to attach that file to the email, it automatically knows that everybody in my email is a member of the organization, and it wants to attach a cloud version. As you can see what Water's showing you right there, you're going to see this cloud version of this file. When we attach that, it's actually not attaching the whole file. It's just a link to the file in OneDrive. Now, what does that mean to you guys as an organization? Because I know I'm talking a whole bunch of tech stuff, but what that means is you actually have less traffic, you have less stuff sitting in your email, you're taking up less space, your email works faster, and you don't have the security risk of sending these files all over the place with no control. We actually start controlling the documents a little bit more and controlling them as a company, because these are your company's assets. So, I know I've been talking a lot about the benefits of having the OneDrive and stuff like that, but when we take Office 365 and we take the desktop portion of the applications and we tie them in with the web portions and we tie them in with all the cool technology that Microsoft has given us, this becomes an extremely powerful protective tool that ends up saving, well, I haven't seen a company yet that hasn't been able to save money with it. So, yeah, I hope that helps you guys. I'll throw it back to you now, Wada and Scott.
Thank you, Chad. Appreciate that. Within the enterprise lineup, there is E1, E3, and E5, and a variety of business bundles. So the main difference between them is the business bundles don't allow for mixed deployment of having, small, medium, and large. And some may or may not include Microsoft Exchange. Some are more of a Hotmail or Windows Live type mail rather than your full Exchange and enterprise administration. The difference between E1 and E3 is E1 does not come with Microsoft Office 2016. The value of that is it lets you gain access to all the productivity tools, but leveraging your current Office 2007 or 2010 or 2013. So it's good as sort of a phased approach to move to Office 365, but still have everyone move in their email up to the cloud, as well as the cloud-based storage for files. Difference between E3 and E5. E5 comes with the Pro Edition of Microsoft Power BI, as well as a variety of cloud-based phone tools for PSTN PBX. Outside of that, E3 is really the way to go. Here's the pricing for Office 365, and this is the Endeavour pricing. So preferred pricing, small reduction off of the list price that you find on Microsoft.com. And we have this published on our Endeavour365.ca website. The E1, which is predominantly your email and exchange, as well as the Skype for Business, the OneDrive for Business, and your online-only tools. The E3 is the main Office 365 bundle that includes Microsoft Office 2016 for your Word, PowerPoint, Excel, and Microsoft Access and Outlook on your PC, on your Mac, and the dedicated tablet and mobile applications. So recap, Office Enterprise, its ability to replace Microsoft Exchange, upgrade everyone to the latest Microsoft Office, or have a mixed deployment of those that are using the older Office and the newer Office, gain access for everyone to the new productivity and collaboration tools, migrate your files to OneDrive and take advantage of the version control, the cloud-based storage, the disaster recovery, the business continuity, all the safety and security. For additional questions, you can reach out to Wada. His contact information is also on the Endeavour365 website, as is Chad's, and on the Endeavour website. He can assist with additional demos and discussions. We have a 90-day trial that we can provide you with, and talk more about the migration methodology in migrating your emails and the zero downtime promise. So with that, I'd like to open it up to our questions. Wada, what are sort of the next steps that you recommend?
Really, our next step is just to get an understanding of what your organization requires. So before we get into migrations and cutovers and promises and so forth, we'll just look at what you require from a business perspective. Do you need redundancy? Do you need backups? Do you have confidential files that you work with day in, day out? So 365 out of the box is a very powerful tool. However, the implementation does play a big part of it, is tying into the existing infrastructure, to the laptops and desktops that are already existing, to the Office applications that you are using. You don't want to, you don't want to have conflicts after the cutover and have downtime. So really, the next step would be to sit down and talk and go over the details of what your costing is, what you're looking at for a refresh cycle, if you have something coming up that you want to look at alternatives versus buying a server and putting it in the closet room and moving everything to the cloud. So really, that's our next step without getting into the technicalities of it.
One thing that I think Scott mentioned, and I think Wada mentioned it too as well, is when we go to do the migration for you guys and we start looking and planning the migration, our migrations are zero downtime for your email and your productivity tools. You won't lose any email. Your email is going to flow back and forth, and you'll have no issues with that. That's huge to a company these days, and it's been great. We migrated customers and had no issues and no downtime. So I just wanted to bring that up. If your Exchange server or some of your tools like that are getting older, maybe it is time to look at it. You should reach out to Wada or myself, and maybe we can get you up on a trial.
Thank you. I have, how about another question? What's the difference between buying Office 365 Enterprise and just walking over to Future Shop or Best Buy?
So the SKUs or the products, the Office 365 flavors, so to speak, that you find over at the electronics retail shops are actually just a desktop version. So although it's priced at $99 per year, it's only your desktop. So it's your Outlook, your PowerPoint. Actually, I don't even think Outlook is included. It's Word, Excel, PowerPoint, I believe Publisher on some versions, and that's all you get. And that's for your home use, so you have to provide your own email, etc. So
they're not getting the productivity tools of the OneDrive for Business and the centralized control, the Skype for Business, and the chat and video conferencing.
So you're really not getting the infrastructure that comes with a business business Office 365.
Yeah. Okay, good. Well, with that, thank you everyone for your time. Have a wonderful day.